Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome into Good Morning Lambeau. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. You can text us 865-658-5824. Flying solo this morning here to talk Packers and more specifically Week 13 as obviously the Packers are going to be off today. It's going to be awesome watching a full slate of football with some playoff implications on the line. We'll talk about what may or may not benefit the Packers for this week across the rest of the league. And we'll also get into, we're going to talk a little TJ Slayton. We mentioned yesterday, we're going to hit on that. We're going to talk about team rankings, where the Packers are sitting now after this past win here this last week against the Miami Dolphins, where they're ranking in offense, defense, and all the important categories, all that good stuff. We'll also, like I said, lay out the full slate of the Week 13 matchups and what games you'll have rooting interest in as a Packers fan. And we'll just kind of go through the news, too. We made a couple signings to the practice squad. We'll hit on that. But before we do, let's give a quick shout-out to the good folks over at Ticket King, the official ticket provider of Packer Fan Total Access Live. Wisconsin-based since 1992, specializing in Packers tickets. They're Wisconsin's largest ticket source with offices next to Lambeau and in Milwaukee. Click on the link in the video description. That'll send you to their website, theticketking.com. You can register there as a customer and go ahead and start shopping for your Packers tickets. Again, that's Ticket King, the official ticket provider of Packer Fan Total Access Live. And I know the chat is already filling up here. Good to see everybody in here. We got Andres in the house. We've got Josh Vallanningham, Chris in the house. Good to see you, buddy. United Bates has entered the chat. We got Jen Wright. Good morning, ma'am. How are you? Holmes in the chat. We got Deadfish up in here. Green Bay has not lost a road game in North America this season. Man, what a stat that is. Absolutely awesome. Jarrell says, watching Chalk Talk. LOL. Okay, good stuff, man. Appreciate you tuning in. Got some really good feedback from Chalk Talk last night. It's kind of I don't know, it's a tough thing to balance because we have podcast listeners and we've got the viewers. So I know it seems like the viewers sometimes say, hey, Clayton, you're talking too much. Just roll the footage. And then people on the podcast are going, hey, man, keep in mind, I can't see the video. Can you explain a little bit more? So on one side, I've got some people saying, shut up, just play the tape. And the others are going, hey, we can't see the tape, knucklehead. So we'll continue to try to meet both parties in the middle, but we definitely appreciate the feedback on both fronts there. Prince in the house. We got Ron Samble. Good to see you in here, Ron. Matter of fact, Ron has a Patreon question we're going to hit on. Before we get to it, let's go ahead and announce it. Our Week 13 PTA Players of the Week. Keep in mind, guys, we try to do this every week. I wish we had done it all season long. I'm glad we've started doing it, though. During the post-game show, we will put up who is your offensive player of the game. And then on Monday's show, we put up who is your defensive player of the game. So it's not my decision. It's not anyone else's that helps host the show. It's strictly the fans, the listeners that are deciding who the players of the week are, which is really cool. So these are the players of the week that you guys and gals decided on. They are Jordan Love and Quay Walker are your PTA players of the week. So obviously Jordan Love, man, had a pretty damn good ball game. You know, a couple of touchdowns, no interceptions, very efficient. I think at one point he had completed 11 straight passes, and that has tied his career best so far. Obviously, Quay Walker had a great game, a couple tackles for a loss, had a sack. I think he ended up with 10 tackles. These last two games we've talked about on the show, breaking it down, hands down, been the best two-game stretch, in my opinion, that Quay Walker has had, at least in the last full season, possibly his entire career. So hopefully he continues to build off of that. But again, Jordan Love and Quay Walker are your PTA Players of the Week for Week 13. Thanks to everyone who voted on that. Really, really cool that you guys are getting your voices heard in that regard. Now, the Patreon question came in from Mr. Ron Samble. He says, Clay, Jordan has been healthy, so I was wondering what Matt is seeing when he keeps handing the ball off from the gun. Doesn't it seem like Jacobs does better when Jordan is under center? It's a great question, and I know it's specifically asking about Josh Jacobs, but the way I would steer that question, Ron, it's not just about Josh Jacobs. It's about overall efficiency, right? And this conversation happened a couple years ago, too. I think it was 2022. It was Aaron's last year. Might have even happened in 2021 as well. But people were saying, we got to get out of the gun. Rodgers just wants to run gun. He only wants to run gun. And I'd pointed out back then, you're getting more production out of the gun in the running game. And I went through and ran down all the statistics and took the time to do that. and they were averaging, it was like 1.3 yards more per rush out of the gun than they were under center, whether it was a offset I or a ace, which we run majority of the time as ace. So what I did was I took this last game and went through all the chalk talk plays. So obviously these are the explosive plays, the most important plays of the game, and I charted it real quick before we went live to kind of get, because I was wondering too, Ron, I think it's a great question. I'm not poo-pooing the question at all. I was like, man, that's a good, let's look at it, right? So this is what we came up with. In order of the plays from that chalk talk: touchdown pass out of ace, that's under center, right? Explosive run out of pony gun, explosive run out of gun, explosive run out of ace, and that was actually a jet sweep. Explosive run out of pony gun, explosive pass out of gun, a TD pass out of gun, explosive pass out of gun, and then an explosive pass out of ace. So when you chart it, here's what we came up with. From the ace formation, you had one explosive pass, one explosive run, and one touchdown pass. All right. When you go to the gun, it was two explosive passing plays, three explosive running plays, and a touchdown out of the gun. So you were way more effective from a result standpoint in trying to hit on explosives, and obviously the scoring plays. You were way more effective in the gun. All right. That's what it feels like to me. So again, the pony package, Matt LaFleur has tried to implement the pony package a couple of times in the past, and it hasn't really panned out. And I hate to say this, but I'm going to say it. I think it was because of A.J. Dillon. Chris Brooks, when he's given his opportunities, the thing about A.J., when A.J.'s given the ball, and it's supposed to be a 22 dive or a 24 blast or whatever it may be, he's hitting that hole and nothing else, right? He's just going to – that's where – and that's – you heard him say earlier this year when he chirped back at the fans because he was catching a lot of criticism. He's like, I graded out a 98% this week. So the coaches are looking at the tape and going, he did what he was supposed to do. There wasn't a hole there, but he did what he was supposed to do, right? Well, you're seeing Emmanuel Wilson, Chris Brooks, and Josh Jacobs, just like Aaron Jones did. If there ain't nothing there, they're bouncing that thing outside. So, again, Chris Brooks and Emmanuel Wilson, the facts are the facts, and the facts don't care about my feelings as much as I love A.J. Dillon, right? But those guys are way more effective at running out of the pony package, especially Chris Brooks, when Matt calls it, as opposed to A.J. Dillon. So, again, charting those plays, though, you got way, way more production out of the gun than you did ace. And, again, I was surprised a couple of years ago when that topic got brought up, and it ended up being way more efficiency out of the gun. Here we are again. Now, back to what you originally asked, too, about the fact that Jordan's healthy. That definitely comes into play. Make no bones about it. We're running more plays under center now since Jordan is healthy. That's a given. I think everybody would agree with that. I haven't charted how many snaps it is, but you could just tell you're under center a lot more. But the explosive plays are coming out of gun. So, you know what I mean? You gotta dance with the one that brought you. You don't want to change things up when it's working, right? So, great question, though. Appreciate you over there in the Patreon group, man. Love the fact that you had the wherewithal to ask that too. Andres in the chat, can you explain what a pony package is? Yes, sir. We hit it on Chalk Talk. If you go watch Chalk Talk, Andres, it'll make a lot more sense because you get the visualization. But the pony package is a shotgun. The pony package is a formation and a personnel package. Okay. It's called 21 personnel. Now, not all 21 personnel for the Packers is going to be pony, although a large chunk of it is. What makes it the pony package is Jordan's in the gun, shotgun set. He's in a double sidecar, meaning he's got a running back on each side of him, okay? So 2 running backs, 1 tight end, that's your 21 pony, and we'll go a step further and say like a 308 pony, meaning number 30 on his left, that's Chris Brooks, number 8, Josh Jacobs on his right, or it might be 11-8 or like a 118 pony, meaning Jaden Reed will be on his left and Josh Jacobs will be on his right. Now, when you go from 21 to 11, what's really cool about that is Jaden Reed is just as effective as a running back as he is as a receiver. I think we would all agree with that. You get the ball in his hands on jet sweeps and things like that, he can run the rock. You put him in the backfield, they have to play their 11 personnel because they've got to respect him as a receiver. When you just go to 21 personnel, they can now lean into their base defense put an extra linebacker on the field as opposed to linebacker, and now they're in a more advantageous spot to stop the run. So what Matt LaFleur is doing, and it's really, really, really smart. Go to the pony package with 21 personnel, triggers their base. Then you go to the pony package with 11 personnel with Jaden Reed back there, and all of a sudden they have to go to their nickel. But when you go to the pony package in the 21 and they go to their base with their extra backer, throw the ball, right? Orbit motion, get creative with all that stuff. And that's where some of their explosive plays came from, was 21 pony. So pony package, real simple. Just think shotgun set, double sidecar. That's all it is. And again, if there's a tight end back there, we may call it pony, but I don't look at it as pony. Two things with pony package: shotgun set, double sidecar, right? That's one aspect. And then the other is it's two running backs back there. Or I count Jaden Reed because he's effective as a running back. You don't see like if Ben Sims goes back there as a second sidecar. We tried to do that with Josiah DeGuara. You guys remember that. When A.J. Dillon got hurt, we started putting Josiah DeGuara back there, but we would never give Josiah DeGuara the ball. So it was very, very one-dimensional when you ran the pony package. Now you're using Josh Jacobs in the passing game with the T orbit and then running Chris Brooks out the backside. There's a lot of different things you can do. It's truly manipulating the defense now, as were before. Even with A.J. Dillon, they weren't getting that kind of flexibility that they have right now. It's wild that I'm saying this, but I'm just telling you, man, everything we've seen, both Emmanuel Wilson and Chris Brooks are significantly better running backs than A.J. Dillon. I don't know what happened to A.J., but if you guys remember, I think it was that rookie year when he ran all over Tennessee, and it was like, man, this is our downhill runner right here. And then it's just like teams keyed in on, look, if we can read where the run's supposed to go, he's not going to bounce it out, right? And with Emmanuel Wilson, he's looking for a reason to take it to the sideline, right? So, yeah, AFAM in the chat says Chris Brooks, and I agree with this completely. He says Chris Brooks is
thick.
He's thicker than a bowl of oatmeal, man. That dude, thing is, too, when they signed him, Matt LaFleur said he's great in pass protection, and he's also an effective runner, and he can catch the football out of the backfield. You kind of roll your eyes and go, okay, why ain't he on a roster then, right? Matt LaFleur was right. That dude's good at everything. The fact that we got his rights for the next couple of years, along with Emmanuel Wilson, and you've got a Marshawn Lloyd, who we haven't even got a chance to see yet. The running back room's set, guys. You don't have to spend another dime on the running back room unless you look up in the draft in the second or third round and you've got a first-round talent that fell right in your lap at the running back position. You can't pass it up. That goes for any position, right? If you can get great value. If you look at your draft board and you look at your vertical board and this player is hands down the best player on the board, whether it's a need or not, it's hard to pass up on it unless it's a kicker or a punter. And we all know how teams approach that. But all right, so there we go. We hit all that again. Ron, thank you so much for the Patreon message, man. And anybody who wants to join our Patreon group, just go to patreon.com/Packer Fan Total Access. Got some awesome chats set up in there. Really, really cool community we've created. Everybody gets along. It's just laid back, chill. It's a really good time. Really good time. So, all right, let's do this now. Let's shift gears and let's hit on some of the news. We don't have a whole lot. I've been trying to do this more regularly and just going through my Twitter, and I'm trying to keep my Twitter clean to where the only thing that I put on there is just football related, right? I mean, we've always been football related, but I try to gear it around the Packers where we could just pop this thing up here and take a look and scroll through at what's going on. If you guys watch college football yesterday, Michigan upsetting Ohio State. If there's any Ohio State fans in here, I'm sorry, man. I know it sucks. But this right here was wild. I won't play the entire thing, but I'll just skip ahead. Michigan planting the flag at Ohio State's 50-yard line and a fight ensued. A couple players got pepper sprayed. It was a wild time, man. I mean, it was crazy. This tweet right here I really wanted to hit on. Jeff Mueller at JMTHRIVEPT on Twitter. Go give him a follow. Jahmyr Gibbs has entered the doghouse. So Jahmyr Gibbs evidently posted this picture. And if you look on the whiteboard, this is Detroit Lions running back for, some people may not know. Look at the whiteboard in the background. Look at the drop back protections. Like, they basically have all the terminology for the protections and specific aspects of the running game. All right. And listen, these are the plays they're going to run, right? Everybody in the NFL runs the same plays. It's a copycat league. But when you know what the protection calls are and everything, that's when it's like, holy cow, this is what it means. They're going to have to change that up. Now, there's some people that are saying that Dan Campbell's playing chess, not checkers, and he put that out there on purpose. Now, if you guys seen his presser, he's a hell of an actor, and I've seen him in the Applebee's commercials too. But he's a hell of an actor if that was the case, because he ended the presser as soon as somebody brought it up. He went, I didn't know that. I'll go handle that right now. So Jahmyr Gibbs probably in the doghouse a little bit here. Great football player, obviously, but this was just stupid. Maybe it was planned. I don't know. But regardless, it's definitely brought some more attention to the Detroit Lions, and I'm all about that personally. So, of course, I put that's a shame that stuff gets leaked out. Let's see here. What else? All right, so here's the news we wanted to hit on. Paul Brettel had tweeted out. Let me pause this. We'll get to that in a second. Paul Brettel had tweeted out the Packers signed linebacker Michael Barrett and guard Marquise Hayes to the practice squad. They released wide receiver Malik Knowles. Okay, so we were talking about we're a little light at linebacker. Packers went out and signed Michael Barrett to the practice squad. We won't take time to break that down right now. If he gets playing time or he gets called up, we would definitely dive into it at a later date and give you guys his measurables and all that stuff. There's just no reason to jump into it at the moment. And then obviously guard Marquise Hayes will handle it the same way. So again, for those of us, and I was one that was a little bit worried about the linebacker room. We got Michael Barrett signed now. So I don't know why, but I feel like he played at Michigan. It's probably not true. But when I hear Michael Barrett, I think Michigan Wolverines. So probably not the case, but if you guys know, hit it in the chat, let everybody know in there. I'll try to put it up on the screen when you do get to it. So here was Brian Baldinger on Twitter. Love his breakdowns. Go give him a follow at Baldy NFL. He said basically he tagged, I can't remember who he tagged in this, but he tagged a player CIN50TRE3 is playing excellent football, and the whole offensive line is cohesive without mistakes, clicking at the right time. Here's Baldy's breakdown. So again, many of these plays we're only going to hit two from Baldy. We hit on, I think, both of these plays during Chalk Talk, but it's important to hear it from a former NFL player. Forget the dumb redneck over here that doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. Let's listen to a former offensive lineman who played a long time in the NFL, Super Bowl winner, break this down. So let's see what he had to say about the Packers.
This offensive line is playing excellent by the Packers, but they really have all the necessary skills. Like this, to be able to get out there on the perimeter, Rasheed Walker, along with Elton Jenkins, like Walker gets the key block right there, okay, on Terrell Dodson, and Jacobs rips it off.
Oh,
all right, so
sorry, I don't mean to cut him off, but watch Sheed right here, guys, and I'll put the volume back up again in a second. Watch Rasheed Walker fire off, and look at him walk this guy completely out of the frame. Look at 63. Let's freaking go. And look at Elton out front. All right, sorry. I just had to point it out one more time, and she just dog walks somebody.
Just rips it off. All right, so you see Josh Myers, okay, all of them. You watch this play right here. Like, watch how long Jordan Love holds this ball. Now, you got Rasheed Walker out here on the rookie Chop Robinson, right? He's in perfect position, all right? Now, Jordan Love can step up right here. Excellent double team right here. You got Sean Ryan battling against a good front. Hold it now. Check it down to Josh Jacobs. Let him go do the rest. Look at that move on Dodson. Like picking up blocks by Jaden Reed. Like everybody doing their job to help out that 49-yard catch and run. But it's everything. You watch the backside cutoffs right here. These backside cutoffs are critical. Can you get this 3 technique so that he doesn't penetrate right here? Look at the movement right here. Now Brooks can just rip this one off right here, break a tackle, and go for 18 yards. And then right before the half, again, they pick up a key 8 yards right here to put them in field goal range. Like, again.
Ron Sample, notice all the running plays he's breaking down are from the gun, right?
Excellent cutoff. Take care of the down man first. And that's what they do. Brooks will figure it out. He'll drop that shoulder on him. It's just a great effort down the goal line.
Here we go.
Josh Jacobs has run for 4 1-yard touchdown runs in the last 2 weeks. But watch.
Think about that. The only knock people have on Josh Jacobs compared to the top 3 rushers or the top 2 rushers in the league is his yards per carry. Here's 4 touchdowns he's had that were just on the 1-yard line. So that hurts his yards per carry, obviously, right?
It's the movement, no penetration. You know how hard it is for a lot of teams to gain a yard on the goal line? They lose games because of it. The Packers don't. Look at the movement by Walker right here, and Wicks and Kraft. Josh Jacobs is going to find the goal line. You just don't allow any penetration to stop them. And there they are. They all get to celebrate right there. Well done.
Just a phenomenal job there, obviously, by Baldy. You've seen Rasheed Walker. 2 of those plays he broke down, man. She's getting better at run blocking now. I know that one was, I guess, technically a pass, but him just getting out front and making a play is awesome. All right, let's move on to another Baldy breakdown. This one, he says, Packers, Dolphins, Jordan Love to Jaden Reed, and Watson is the key. Not to touch the cornerback until the ball is touched. We talked about this on Chalk Talk. Let's hear Baldy's breakdown of it.
Let's watch this touchdown throw from Jordan Love to Jaden Reed. All right, it's a little hitch right here. But watch outside here, Watson. This is the coaching point. Don't interfere while the ball's in the air. He doesn't touch him. Now the ball's touched. Now he seals him. Then you get Wicks right here on a good block on Jordan Poyer, and then Reed just beats the middle linebacker, Jordan Brooks, into the end zone for the 3rd touchdown of the first half. I mean, it's just great fundamentals all the way around. Nice throw right here, obviously into the hands of Reed. But when he turns, he's got the seal right there by Watson. And now he's just following his blocks. All right, he's going to outrun Jordan Brooks into the end zone right here for an appropriate 11-yard touchdown pass. But good use of sealing the corner without interfering on the corner by Watson. Let's watch this touchdown.
Yeah, so Baldy obviously seeing pretty much the same thing we've seen, right? I love his breakdowns. He's so simple. You know, he keeps things at a 3rd grade level, and I need that in my life. Holmes MD1 stalking the cornerback with the devil emoji. Yeah, man. And again, I have never heard Matt LaFleur talk about a stalk route until he said that Robert Saleh had recommended they run a stalk route a couple of weeks ago with the Christian Watson wheel. So pretty cool stuff. You're seeing the dividends there from Robert Saleh joining the staff, no doubt. And I think we're caught up just about. Check this out, guys. Tonight on Sunday Night Football, obviously we love rooting against the 49ers, right? Everybody loves rooting against the 49ers. Adam Schefter tweeted out a look tonight at Buffalo, which is hosting the Sunday night game versus the 49ers. So this was last night. Now, the majority of the snow has passed through. I think there's like a 50% chance of snow showers during the game for Sunday Night Football. But there was supposed to be somewhere between 1 and 2 feet of snow dumped in Buffalo. So there's going to be a lot of snow shots around the stadium. You know, Bills Mafia. Look at Twitter today. When them tailgating out there, those knuckleheads are going to get creative out there in that snow, I promise you. But going to be awesome football tonight. As we'll probably get, like I said, a few flurries, a few snow showers there for the Buffalo game, Buffalo San Fran. We'll talk about who we have rooting interest for all of the games across the league here shortly. I want to hit on this too real quick. Matt Schneiden had tweeted out, Packers have a strange week going Thursday game to Thursday game. So today is like a Wednesday. They're going to have practice, LaFleur and Jordan Love in the locker room this afternoon. So we should get our first injury report today. And I'm really excited to look and see exactly how banged up the Detroit Lions are, because some people are saying it's really, really bad. Others are saying, it's not so bad. You're just keying in on one side of the ball. We'll take a look at it. We'll do all that this evening at 7 p.m. Central. We'll also give you a recap of all the action across the league and what may or may not have benefited the Green Bay Packers. But again, today's like a Wednesday, so we're right in the thick of it, guys. So it's exciting stuff. So that's pretty much everything on Twitter. Like I said, just wanted to kind of give you guys an update on what's going on. Anytime that we come across stuff there on social media, notice there's no drama other than the Michigan-Ohio State fight, right? If you know how to use Twitter, and it took me a long time to get mine cleaned up. Now the political stuff will still hit. There'll be Trump stuff flying everywhere. There's Kamala Harris stuff flying everywhere. But if you can learn how to navigate it, mute certain words and steer clear of it, man, it is the ultimate football tool. Twitter also, something else you got to give them a lot of props for there on X. They've now got I'm trying to think of what it's called. I think the NFL portal is what it's called. If you click on that NFL portal, it just gives you the top news in the NFL, filters everything else out. It's almost like, you know how the Red Zone channel takes you around the league constantly? This takes you around the NFL constantly for the most important stuff, and it's in one thread. It's really, really cool. Check it out. NFL portal is what it's called. Crossfire confirms, looky here, Michael Barrett is a Michigan man. Appreciate you, Crossfire. I don't know why. I guess when you are a draft nerd like I am, you hear a name and you go, yeah, didn't he go to Valdosta State? Stuff like that pops up. So we had it right. Interesting. So Michael Barrett did play for the Michigan Wolverines. We'll dive into him a little later there as far as what he may or may not be good at. All right, let's do this. Let's shift gears and let's talk a little TJ Slayton. We talked about this yesterday. When we were talking TJ yesterday, we showed on the tape the Quay Walker sack there at the goal line stand. TJ Slayton completely blows the play up, right? So he's in a contract year. Many of these players, I'm going, nah, steer clear unless they're willing to take a very team-friendly deal. You're trying to find those people that are going to be free agents that you can get on a bargain that you go, man, they're really contributing to the team. And I don't think people truly understand how well TJ Slayton has played. When you look at pressure percentage, right, quarterback pressure percentage. So obviously you take the pass rush snaps that they're actually rushing the quarterback and how many times they apply pressure to the quarterback, and that comes up with your pressure percentage. It's essentially the effectiveness in which you rush the passer, okay? I love NFL Pro over PFF because PFF does not tell you who's grading the tape. They don't give you a formula. It's just, hey, listen, you've got to trust us. They don't say on these 4 plays here are the pressure plays. These 2 plays right here are the pressure plays. They don't tell you that stuff. You just got to you've got to accept the fact that they're telling the truth and that's it, right? And not that anyone would be dishonest, on purpose. It's just people make mistakes. Anytime you've got humans grading things, you're going to have mistakes. What I like about NFL Pro is they use GPS tracking. So with the quarterback still has the ball in his hand, once they get within, and I can't remember how many times it gathers data per second. It's something crazy, like 100 or 1,000 times per second it grabs GPS data. It was something really, really wild. So it'll detect how close a pass rusher is to the quarterback while he still has the ball in his hands. So to me, that's a true pressure. That's okay. They got in close enough that's a pressure. So when you look at the pressures on the Packers and you look at who's leading in quarterback pressures, I'm just going to try to zoom it in so we key in on it. You got to kind of filter out the noise. Keyshawn Nixon, Xavier McKinney, Isaiah McDuffie, Eric Wilson, Quay Walker, Edgerrin Cooper, Javon Bullard, all those guys are either linebackers or secondary. So when they blitz, typically you're bringing one more than the blocking scheme can handle, or you're trying to catch them off guard. So the numbers are way, way overflated. It's good to have those high numbers, don't get me wrong, but it's also important to understand that the reason those numbers are so high, like Keyshawn Nixon, when he blitzes, remember we would fire him out of the nickel before we put him outside? When he blitzes, 40% of the time he applies pressure to the quarterback, right? Xavier McKinney, when he's blitzed off the edge as a safety blitz, 27.3% of the time. Isaiah McDuffie, when we bring him on whether it's a green dog, a crossfire, or it might be just a will fire or a mock fire, when we blitz him up the middle, he's getting pressure 26.3% of the time. Eric Wilson, 22.2% of the time. Quay Walker, 20% of the time. Edgerrin Cooper, 16.7% of the time. And Javon Bullard, who's now playing safety or has played safety and now plays nickel, he's getting pressure 14.3% of the time when they blitz. Now, you get into the every down rushers. These are the guys that are down in and down out. They're going after the quarterback constantly, right? Here are your top pressure percentage amongst our pass rushers. Rashawn Gary still leads the way and by a healthy margin at 13.7% pressures. He also leads the team with 4.5 sacks. Okay, that's Gary. Guess who's second? TJ Slayton. TJ Slayton is applying pressure at 10.4% of his pass rushes. All right. Brenton Cox Jr. at 10%. Lucas Van Ness at 9.8%. Kingsley Enagbare at 9.4%. Devontae Wyatt at 9.3%. Aaron Mosby at 8.7%. Colby Wooden at 7.6%. Preston Smith, obviously not on the team anymore. He was at 7.1%. Kenny Clark at 7%. Carl Brooks at 4.6%. So we talk about a couple things here. You're trying to find your true 3 tech, right? And everybody needs a 3 tech. Let me hit this super chat real quick. I don't want it to sit there. Drew D with the super chat. Thank you so much, buddy. I appreciate you. He says, did you see Gibbs leak the Lions plays on social media? I sent it to you on X. Yeah, we actually just showed it, Drew. I didn't notice that you sent it. I appreciate you taking the time to do that, man. We were kind of hitting on that just a second ago. I did want to acknowledge your super chat here, buddy. Thank you so much. If you go back to probably the first 10, 15 minutes of the show, we actually hit on it. It's pretty wild, man. Give us your take in the comments. You're good, man. If you got here late, I know. Thank you for the super chat, Bob. Let us know what you think about it in the comments, and you guys chat about it in there. Appreciate you, pal. So when we're talking about a true 3 tech, trying to find that real 3 tech, right? Who is our 3 tech? Who's that guy that you can say, okay, opposite of Rashawn Gary, this guy's going to apply pressure? If you go strictly by the pressure percentage numbers, it's TJ Slayton. That's wild to think about. Now, keep in mind, far fewer snaps, right? These are, I'm trying to think of what those are. Yeah, just overall snaps. TJ Slayton, 289 snaps, right? Brenton Cox Jr., actually, let's look for interior defensive lineman here. The next closest one is Devontae Wyatt at 237 snaps, and he's at 9.3%. Then it would be Kobe Wooden, right? Kenny Clark is down there at 7%. Carl Brooks is down to 4.6% now. Now, listen, some of that is touch spine. We've talked about that on Chalk Talk. But the point is, you compare apples to apples. Let's compare the pressure percentage just on the Green Bay Packers roster, and you build around that. So if TJ Slayton's going to walk in free agency, who's your next best one? It's Devontae Wyatt at 9.3%, right? Well, Devontae Wyatt's going to be coming up for contract soon too. Is he your true 3 tech? I don't think so. Again, I don't think we have a true 3 tech on this team. When I say true 3 tech, like a dominant 3 tech. You know, Michael Lombardi talks about all the time. Everybody thinks they have a 3 tech, and nobody has a 3 tech, right? They're very, very. It's the reason Christian Wilkins broke the bank in free agency. It's because he is a dominant 3 tech. You got people like Quinnen Williams that can play all over the line. He can play your 3 tech if you need him to, and be dominant at it. Chris Jones can play all over that defensive line for Kansas City, and he can be dominant at it. You're looking for a guy who can truly dominate out of the 3 tech. And when we say 3 tech, we're talking about lining up in between the guard and the tackle, okay? You get that guy lined up between the guard and the tackle. I'm not the guard and the tackle. The tackle, yeah, the guard and the tackle. One side, typically with our 4-3 front, whether you're in an under or an over, you're going to have somebody playing nose in the 1 tech, and you're going to have another guy playing the 3 tech. The 3 tech is typically most important in the pass rush, along with the opposite edge defender. So you always want to have those guys opposite of each other. So when they have to slide the protection to double team one, you can't double team them both unless you leave in a 6-man protection. So you're really, really controlling what the offense can do schematically when you've got a dominant 3 tech and a dominant edge defender. So, and again, Rashawn Gary's had a down year. We've said it over and over and over, right? You know, just like I was the president of the Rudy Ford fan club, I'm now the president of the Rashawn Gary fan club, evidently. It's just wild that people try to, get him off the team. He's horrible. We overpaid, all this. He's leading your team in pressure percentage and sacks. So like that, let's say that's the floor, okay? What I mean by the floor, now let's go find another dominant to go with him and watch them play off of each other, right? And to me, that should be a 3 tech as opposed to an edge. And again, people kind of have dogged LVN. The reality is LVN at that 9.8% and 283 snaps has been the second most dominant edge rusher for the Packers on this team. Like, we fall in love with Aaron Mosby, right? Granted, there's only 39 snaps, but his is at 8.7%. His pressure percentage should be higher with fewer snaps, right? The same thing with who was the other one? Brenton Cox Jr. is like slightly ahead of LVN at 10%, but he's only had 63 snaps. That number is going to go down, naturally as he gets more snaps. So let's look at TJ Slayton. We're talking about the pressures, right? And let's look at all of TJ Slayton's pressure snaps real quick. We got 14. And I'm going to try to set it up to where we can go rapid fire just to kind of get an idea. And we're going to go end zone cam. Let's do away with the sideline. All right. Now, so let's find TJ Slayton. Remember what we were talking about, 3 and a 1 tech, right? This is the problem with TJ. TJ plays 1 tech. He's here. Okay, so you've got Wyatt playing 3 tech. You see what I'm saying? Over the center, 0, 1 in between the guard and the center, and then it would be 3 in between the guard and the tackle. On the opposite side, 0 over the center, 1 in between the guard and the center, 3 in between the guard and the tackle. So Wyatt's the 3, and TJ Slayton is the 1. Let's watch Slayton right here. Watch the 1 tech right here. Singled up. I mean, just completely collapses the pocket in there on the quarterback, right? And they got the ball out quick. There ain't nothing you can do as a player. That he did his job. He pressured the quarterback, and you got to hope that the coverage holds up. Here we are now. Let's see where he's at. Once again, 1 tech, and instead of a true 3, yeah, that's a 3. They would consider that a 3 tech. He's kind of on the outside shoulder of the guard. That's definitely considered a 3 over a 2, no doubt. So let's watch TJ Slayton here in the 1. Look at him just drive the pocket back. See him? He's the one getting pressure on Will Levis on that play. So this is what I love about NFL Pro over the PFF stuff. PFF just goes, trust us. NFL Pro goes, here's the pressure, right? All right, let's watch Slayton on this play. Once again, where's he lined up? This might be different this time. That kind of looks like it might be him there. Let's see once the ball's snapped. Hold on just a second. Yeah, so he's actually playing, what would that be, a 2 tech? I guess they were both playing 2. No, Devontae Wyatt's playing the 1. And on this play here, TJ Slayton's actually playing the 3 tech. So this is a perfect snap right here of can he play 3 tech? Let's watch it. And granted, it's against the Titans, but this is what you're talking about. Like if you were to re-sign TJ Slayton, let's say it, I don't know, $2 or $3 million per for 3 years and give him almost fully guarantee it to make it worth his, the guaranteed money, make it sweeter than him hitting free agency. Can he play 3 tech? I'll tell you what, boy, he just drove through a double team. Look at my man, right? TJ Slayton's a better pass rusher than we think. We see him as this big, heavy body guy, and we think, oh, he's just a run stuffer. But you're seeing it on tape. Here he is in a 1 tech against Minnesota, kind of playing nose. He's almost just playing shade, really on the inside shoulder. I'd say it's a 1. Let's watch him drive the guard. So you see Kenny right here. He engaged with the double team, and now 67 is trying to peel off, but watch TJ in the middle. Drive. You see, he didn't sack the quarterback, but you've seen him pressure the quarterback and make him run out, right? Unfortunately, we're in man coverage right here, so that lets Darnold escape the pocket, right? So there's another TJ Slayton pressure. Let's go on to the next one. It's probably be against Minnesota again, maybe. I don't know. Yep, Minnesota again. All right, here we go. 1 tech again, right? You see him right there in the middle. Let's watch it. Ball snapped. Double team. Look at my man. Drive, fighting through. Got a hand on him there. So he definitely got close enough for it to be a pressure. But once again, man coverage, and Sam Darnold escapes the pocket. I hate man coverage so bad, man. Like 80% of our interceptions this year have come off of playing zone. And every time we go to man, quarterbacks just scramble all over. So look at this look, guys. Double A gap mug. Now you've got TJ Slayton. You got TJ Slayton in a 5 tech. He's on the outside shoulder of the tackle on this play. Let's see if he stunts in. Oh, he's going out. Look at that straight arm drive. Keyshawn hits. What's crazy is with Keyshawn, this is one of Keyshawn's strip sacks when he was playing nickel. If Sam Darnold gets that ball out, look at TJ Slayton. Doesn't matter. TJ Slayton's paw is up there, right? He's getting a hand on that ball. He actually did anyway, right? Looked like it actually glanced off of him as Keyshawn hit him. So another pressure there from TJ Slayton. So these pressures, I wanted to show this because this isn't just fluff. These are legit pressures, right? Here he is playing 1 tech. All right, so he's in the middle. And drive. Look at that little rip move spin. Did you see the big fella spin? Look at the spin move. He's going to rip right here and spin. Did you see it? That is wild. Rip and spin. What a good rep. Look right here. Rip, spin, hit the quarterback. This is catching me off guard, I ain't gonna lie. Pretty cool. Here he is again, playing 1 tech against the Rams. And hopefully I'm explaining this enough for you guys on the podcast, just to kind of give you an idea. Look at that over-under. That's a swim move, right? So a punch, pull, and swim. Look at the big fella. Another pressure. Granted, that's the Rams. I don't know if it should count, right? But I don't know. They played good football since the receivers got healthy. All right, here he is again, 1 tech for TJ. Now look at him. He popped over to the nose. So now he's playing straight up zero tech nose, right? Let's see what he does on this rush. Wish I could get those numbers off the screen. There we go. All right. So let's watch him with the nose. Look at that burst being held to. Bang, hits the quarterback. Looky there, incompletion. All right, so you guys get the idea, right? We'll show one more. Here's against the Cardinals. TJ Slayton right here playing a 2-eye inside shoulder of the guard. Double team, watch him fade around, engage with the tackle. Another pressure. Now you'd like to see him shoot for the outside shoulder of poor little Kyler Murray there, but still pressure, legit pressure from TJ Slayton. One more. I'm sorry. I keep saying one more. I love it. I could watch this stuff all day. Another one tech. Last one, I promise. So you see predominantly he plays in a one tech, although he's played a 5. But my man fighting through the double team. Yep, pressure. So you guys get the idea there with TJ. The big thing for me there, predominantly he plays one tech. We've seen he can play 3 tech from time to time. That could be them trying to exploit a matchup, right? That could be the case. He also lined up in a 5 tech. I don't like him out there, right? It's a big old boy in all that space. But I say you try to get him back on a bargain, man. I mean, again, the numbers are there. So I would be I'd be okay with them signing him for sure. Let's see what else we got here. Drew D in the chat. TJ Slayton doesn't have much wasted movement either. He gets right upfield to the quarterback. So true, Drew. He's not like hand fighting. He's not, dilly-dallying around. It's let's get back there and apply pressure, right? It's a great point for sure. Let's see. I don't know what AFAM's talking about. Hopefully there's no one chained up in Omer's basement. What the hell's going on? I got to hit you with it. I'm sorry. I try to steer clear of this stuff when I'm flying solo, but I just need to know. What the hell is Brett? That's the wrong one. There it is. We'll play it anyway since we hit it.
I'm in town to play the Dolphins, you dumbass.
All right, so you guys get the idea there with Drew or with TJ Slayton, right? Like I think it's worth exploring, man. For what price, right? And I don't know if Spot Track would even have a fair market value on him or not. This is how I get sidetracked, right? Let's go Spot Track Packers. Let's see if we can figure out if TJ Slayton has a market value attached to him. And again, this doesn't mean it's going to be completely accurate, but it is a cool tool to kind of compare as far as production and all that stuff across the league as to whether someone, you can come up with the price in which they're worth. Let's see, TJ Slayton, man, he's definitely outplayed his contract. There's no two ways about that. Let's see if we got a market value. We got a market value for him. I don't think we do. We do not. We don't have a market value for him. I apologize for wasting that time. I was just trying to see. And again, once someone hits free agency, it doesn't matter how we feel about it or what he may or may not be worth. It's what's the market say he's worth, right? That's the tough part. So, all right, that's going to do it for hour 1. For those of you listening on the pod, we'll see you on the other side for hour 2. We appreciate y'all. All right, let's keep it moving here, gang. Let's look at the team rankings real quick. I've been wanting to check this out. They should be updated now from the Packers last game there. Let's kind of see how they're looking as far as rankings across the league, and I'll try to keep this zoomed up as much as I can. I apologize for the ads. There's nothing I can do there. But let's start it off with scoring, offense, and let's go points per play. Let's see where Green Bay is. Green Bay is 7th in the league at 0.433 points per play. So they're obviously a legit top 10 scoring offense in that regard. Detroit, however, number 1. All right. And we're going to mention Detroit because obviously that's the team we're playing this week. We'll kind of compare the two as we go through and hit on all the statistics for the Packers. All right. When we're talking about yards, okay, just overall total yards, we're going to go yards per play for the Packers. The Packers are sitting 3rd in the league, actually tied for 2nd with San Francisco at 6.3 yards per play. That would put them only behind Baltimore. Look at Detroit, though, 6.2, right behind the Packers there. So Packers are top 2 in total offense. All right, let's go rushing yards, and we go yards per rush attempt. Keep in mind all the Josh Jacobs touchdowns, right, that he's had that were, inside the 3-yard line, 1 yard line or one yard touchdown runs. So that will bring this number down a touch. but the Packers are currently 6th best in the league at 4.8 yards per rush attempt. Detroit is tied for them as well. So you're seeing the numbers are stacking up. I mean, really, really close, right? Let's go passing offense. Yards per pass attempt. The Packers are currently tied for 3rd at 8.4. The Detroit Lions are 2nd at 8.7. This is the battle of two dominant offenses is what this game is going to be. Scoring defense, opponent points per play. So now let's go to the defensive side of the ball. The Packers are currently, I don't know why that skips like that. It's driving me crazy. 0.331. They are 8th in the league. So we are now the 8th best scoring defense in the league in terms of points per play. Detroit is 3rd at 0.281. And what's crazy is all the injuries that Detroit has on their defensive side of the ball is just wild. The fact that they're still that good, and people go, well, what's it been here lately? Yeah, last 3 games, 0.206 better than their, all season long, 0.281. Matter of fact, if you took their last 3 games and compared it to the entire season for everyone else, that would be hands down the best scoring defense in the league. So they are playing really good defensive football here of late. There with the scoring defense. Now let's go total defense, opponent yards per play. And let's see where the Packers are currently 14th in total yards per play at 5.4. Detroit is 12th, actually tied for 10th at 5.3 yards per play. All right, so that's where they sit in total yards or total defense, I should say. Let's see what their running defense looks like. Opponents' yards per rush attempt. The Green Bay Packers are 8th in the league at 4.2. The Detroit Lions, look here, boys, 4.4. That's tied for 15th. Not much lower than the Packers, but the weak spot of their defense is definitely their run defense, is what we're finding out here. So probably want to key in on the run again this week. I love the way this matchups, the early stages of it kind of matching up here, man, is awesome. Opponent yards per pass attempt. So this is your passing defense. The Packers are tied for 15th at 6.7. And Detroit is 9th at 6.3. So, yeah, their passing defense significantly better than their running defense. So lean on the run, just like we've been doing here lately, and really key in on that. Now, listen, if they load the box like they did against Jacobs, that's why you've seen those 11 completions in a row from Jordan Love. They were loading the box saying, we're not going to let Josh Jacobs beat us in the ground game, and Jordan beat them with the pass, right? I still keep thinking about that shot play to Christian Watson, just a phenomenal play. Matt LaFleur scheming underneath, whether it was the RPO flat or that quick out route, the stalk route that Jaden Reed ran for the touchdown there early as well. Let's go to turnovers. I think this is really important. Probably the most important statistic on defense, right? Let's go to takeaways per game. So takeaways per game. First place is Minnesota with 2, Pittsburgh with 2, and then tied for 3rd is Green Bay at 1.9. But look, Detroit is tied for 6th at 1.6. So they're right behind the Packers. So the Packers have the edge there. Now, when you look at the quarterback matchup, and we'll do this as we get a little closer to game week, we'll look at the PFF preview and all that good stuff. Which quarterback would you take? You got one game to win. Are you taking Jordan Love or are you taking Jared Goff? It pains me to say this. I think I would probably take Jared Goff in one game. He's been to a Super Bowl. He protects the football better. He plays a little more on time. Now, if you're talking about just raw talent, arm talent, Jordan Love, I think, could run circles around him, both scrambling and with the arm talent when the accuracy is on. It just seems like Jared Goff's a little more consistent. And that's what it's going to come to. That's what the first game came down to. Remember the turnovers, being careless with the football? If Jordan Love goes out there and protects the football and we press into the run, unless they load the box and then we take what they give us in the passing game and through the play action game, got a really good chance of winning this ball game. I'm liking our chances. I really am. I think it's going to be a hell of a ball game though. So, all right, that's pretty much. Oh, I'm sorry. Let's do the giveaways real quick. Let's see who is worst in giveaways per game. I imagine it's probably Green Bay. So this is going to sort it by fewest. So it's like best teams in the league at protecting the football. Detroit is tied for 7th in the league at 0.9, right? Green Bay is 15th in the league at 1.2. So, again, if you fix that aspect of your game, This should be a close ball game between Detroit and Green Bay. Just got to protect the football. Got to do it. So, again, just wanted to hit on that real quick and let you guys know what's going on there in terms of the team rankings and how they match up for this game coming up Thursday night. As Drew points out, we must have very few fumbles. I'm pretty sure that's the case. I already closed it out. I would have checked. I apologize. We protected the ball really, really well in terms of fumbling. It's the interceptions that's keeping it up. And here lately, Jordan, has it been two games in a row with no interceptions, I think, right? And playing a lot more. And you could see it all over the tape. I pointed out on Chalk Talk last night, like checking it down to Josh Jacobs and not forcing it down the field on that crosser, on that mid crosser mesh play. Hey, look, just take what the defense gives you. Scoot's probably coming out the backside open there. And Jordan's like, we're up by a couple scores. Let me just check this thing down. Same thing with Tucker Kraft. Let me just check this thing down and let my playmakers make plays. So pretty cool, man. Really, really excited about seeing this game coming up, though. I know there's some awesome games across the slate today. Why don't we dive into that real quick? Let me cross this off so we don't get too caught up. Cool. Now we know which one's separated. Talking to myself, I apologize. So let's look at the matchups. First of all, the playoff picture. I'm pretty sure that this has not changed. So essentially what you got, the Detroit Lions in the 1 seed, Philadelphia Eagles in the 2, Seattle Seahawks in the 3, Atlanta Falcons in the 4, the Minnesota Vikings in the 5, Green Bay Packers are your 6 seed, and the Washington Commanders are in the 7th seed. This has changed. I need to update it because we do have 9 wins. When I say it's changed, the records have changed, but the seeding did not change. Okay, that's the reason I wanted to continue to show it, but we will go ahead and delete that so we can get another one in. Now let's look at the Week 13 matchups. Keep in mind it's still showing the Green Bay Packers at 8-3. This was going into this week. They're actually 9-3 now. Here are the matchups on the day. You know what? Let's hold off on that. Let's go to the playoff simulator. We'll get an up-to-date look at what the playoffs are actually looking like, okay? Since we don't have that graphic updated for you guys and gals, let's do it this way. Let's jump in here and show what the playoff simulator looks like here on ESPN, okay, or what they call the NFL playoff machine. And we'll show you the games that are important for today. We'll clear everything off. So this is an updated version here. So as you can see, nothing's changed. Detroit 1 seed, Philly 2, Seattle 3, Atlanta 4, Minnesota 5, Green Bay 6, Washington 7. Okay, that's the seeding across the NFC. Now, with some of the games we've got coming up today, what I'm going to do is pop this up over with an overlay. Here's what we got. So games you want to watch for. Obviously, the Bears and the Lions already played. We played our game. The Cowboys and the Giants already played. All that's already factored in here, okay? The Black Friday game was yesterday. Kansas City won that game. So your matchups this week are Pittsburgh at Cincinnati. That's a 1 o'clock kickoff today. Keep in mind these are Eastern time. I'm on Eastern here, okay? Indianapolis Colts at the New England Patriots is a 1 o'clock kickoff. You got the Tennessee Titans at the Washington Commanders, 1 o'clock kickoff. The LA Chargers at the Atlanta Falcons, 1 o'clock kickoff. You've got the Houston Texans at the Jacksonville Jaguars are a 1 o'clock kickoff. And then you got the Arizona Cardinals at the Minnesota Vikings, 1 o'clock kickoff. And then the Seattle Seahawks at the New York Jets, 1 o'clock kickoff. So what applies to us here? Obviously, we want the teams that are closest to us in the standings to lose these games. And those games consist of these right here. The LA Chargers at the Atlanta Falcons, all right? We want the Chargers to win that game. As we go down the list here real quick. Let's go in the order we just talked about with the 1 o'clock games. We want the Titans to beat the Washington Commanders. We want the Chargers to beat the Falcons. We definitely want this is tough right here. I want to ask you guys about this in the chat. Think about this. You got the Arizona Cardinals at the Minnesota Vikings. Now, we have a shot, if we pop this down real quick. Minnesota's in the 5 seed. So we got a legit shot to climb up a spot in the seeding, right, to have the 5 seed. I think we would all agree we want that, right? Now, the issue is the Arizona Cardinals are also battling for a playoff spot. As you can see here, they're sitting at 6-5. So this game, no matter who wins, it's going to benefit the Packers, I think, in terms of just making the playoffs. If the Vikings win, then that lessens the chances of the Cardinals catching us at that 6-5 record. They would then go to 7-5 if they won this game. That helps the Packers in just making the playoffs in general, right? but also we got a chance to climb up and take the 5 seed if Minnesota slips up here a couple of games. So what do you guys want to happen there between the Cardinals and the Vikings in this game? Just tell me who you would rather see win there with the Vikings and the Cardinals, all right? Drew D says, I'll be rooting for Arizona. I completely understand that. I love rooting against the Vikings, right? If Arizona wins that game, that betters our chances of climbing up an extra spot right there with the seeding. Let's see here. All Good says Vikings. I think he's saying Vikings lose, so he's rooting for the Cardinals. Prince wants the Cardinals to win. Yep. Isaiah says Vikings lost. So we're going for that 5 seed, right, guys? That's what we're geared up. I think many people are saying too, hey, why don't we go for that NFC North, right? Who's to say if we beat the Lions this week, right? Who's to say they won't slip up in the next 4 weeks? Omer says, come on, Packers making the playoffs. Get real. It's just a matter of time if we still can win the division. So Omer is saying, listen, buddy, we're making the playoffs. Slam dunk, no doubt about it. Let's go get the Lions. All right, so in that case, we're saying we're not even worried about the Cardinals, right? We're not worried about these teams on the cusp. That's what Omer is saying in here. Vikings to lose for sure, without a doubt. There you go. Dick in the chat says Queens got to lose. Got to have it. Mike Hebron, Cardinals all day also helps keep the 49ers out. That's a great point there, Mike. Anytime we can ruin the 49er fans' hopes, that's a good thing, right? Vikings to lose. So everybody's pretty much, hey, we're rooting for the Cardinals today, right? That's what it sounds like. Cannonball John says, do we get a home game if they beat the Viking? I think what he's asking, if we have a higher seed, here's how that will work, Cannonball John. If we're the 5 seed, we would not host the first playoff game. But if the playoffs played out to where the underdogs won, meaning it would take the 1, the 2, the 3, and the 4 seed to get beat out of the playoffs before we would host a playoff game. I don't even know if that's statistically possible, to be honest with you. Let me drop this down real quick. So what I'm saying is, you see how the playoff seeding sits right here, right? You can see my cursor. The way this, actually you can't. Now you might be able to. There we go. So the 1 seed gets a bye, right? Gets that first round bye. The 7 seed plays at the 2 seed. The 6 seed plays at the 3 seed. In that case, it's us at Seattle. Then the 5 seed plays at the 4 seed. So what it would take, let's say that we pass the Vikings up for the 5 seed, okay? And let's say that Atlanta loses in the first round, Seattle loses in the first round, and Philly wins, then we would host a playoff game, I'm pretty sure. Being the 5 seed, we would host that against the 6 seed Vikings at Lambeau. That makes sense? Or it could end up being the Commanders, depending on how the seeding works out. Basically, it's the higher seed plays the lower seed, and the higher the seed guarantees them a home game with their upcoming opponent. So it would take Seattle and Atlanta. What's crazy is if we did take the 5 seed, it's not unrealistic to say that Seattle and Atlanta could get beat in the playoffs, right? I mean, one of those games would have to be us beating them. So it's possible. Yeah, I'm on board with you guys. Let's go after that 5 seed, man. Let's do everything we can in our power to get it. That would be awesome. So, yeah, we're Cardinal fans today, no doubt about it. So glad we got that squared away. And I had the question mark there, so I am going to circle it. We're rooting for the Cardinals in that game. Now let's move along to the 4 o'clock window. You got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Carolina Panthers. Who do we want to win that game? The Panthers are 3-8. The Bucs are 5-6. Hands down, we're Panther fans there. Probably not going to happen, but who knows? They're playing better football here of lately. So we definitely be pulling for Carolina in that game. The next game, the LA Rams at the Saints. The Saints are 4-7. The LA Rams are 5-6. So we're definitely pulling for the Saints in that game. Next would be the Philadelphia Eagles at the Baltimore Ravens. That should be a dandy of a football game, guys. You're talking about 2 teams that are built really well in the trenches on both sides of the ball. They love to run a rock. Lamar Jackson, probably your MVP front runner this year, going up against Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley, which we know a running back probably not going to win MVP anytime soon. But if there's one in the league this year that could be justified, it's definitely Saquon Barkley. That dude's running like his hair is on fire. He's running like he's pissed off that the Giants didn't re-sign him, and it's working. So that's going to be a fun game. We're going to be Baltimore fans in that game, hands down. So once again, the 4 o'clock window, we're going to be rooting for Carolina, New Orleans, and Baltimore, all right, in those games right there. And then the Sunday night game of the week, obviously the 49ers travel to a snowy Buffalo Bills. And we're obviously pulling for the Buffalo Bills in that game, hands down. It's not even close. And then Monday Night Football is the Cleveland Browns at the Denver Broncos. When you look at it, the Cleveland Browns are sitting at 3-8. The Denver Broncos are at 7-5. I would like to see the Browns win that game. I really would. But it is also fun rooting for Bo Nix. As you guys know, when we were doing our draft coverage, I was a big fan of Bo Nix. Heard a couple interviews like, man, this guy freaking gets it. His FBI is through the roof. I don't know if his physical talent will stack up at the NFL level, but man, his knowledge of the game is just absolutely phenomenal. So I kind of root for Denver a little bit on the side because of Bo Nix, but in this case, I think I want the Browns to win that game for sure. You know what we ought to do? We ought to pull up the Fox preview or ESPN, whatever it is, NFL preview. I think it's ESPN that does it. NFL. Let me pull this up real quick for you guys and see if we could figure out weather forecasts for these games. Yeah, they show it here. So let's do this. Let's pop this over. And let me do this before we get too far off track here. We'll come back to it here in a second. We'll look at the weather forecast for these games. Let's finish this graphic up, and we'll go back to the playoff simulator and show best and worst case scenarios. I think it'll surprise you guys too. But the position that the Packers have got themselves in is really, really cool. So in terms of the statistics, most passing yards, Lamar Jackson, and shout out to Nerding on NFL for this graphic. They are phenomenal at creating this graphic every week. It's been the Bible for me covering covering NFL and following the NFL all season long. It's just one of the best follows at, I can't remember the exact handle, NFL. If you just type in NFL nerd, it'll pop up. I promise you. But it's Nerding on NFL is the name of the account there. So Lamar Jackson leads the way at 3,053 yards passing. That's 8.9 yards per attempt. Hands down better than anyone else in the league. He's your front runner for MVP right now. Most rushing yards is Saquon Barkley at 1,392 yards, averaging 6.2 a pop. Then you got Derrick Henry for the Ravens at 1,325 yards, 6 yards a carry. Think about that. That game today, that 4:25 kickoff, Philly at Baltimore, will be cold weather football up in Baltimore. And also, I think it's I can't remember where they play at. Somewhere, it's weird. I don't know if it's actually in Baltimore, but nonetheless, that game there in the Northeast is going to be really cold. But you got the two best running backs in the game going at it. Both of them averaging over 6 yards a carry. That's going to be a lot of fun to watch. Third in the league, though, however, is our very own Josh Jacobs at 944 yards, 4.7 yards per carry. Keep in mind, we mentioned 4 touchdowns this year that were 1-yard runs. That hurts that as well. So anytime you get down inside the 5 and they pound the rock, it does hurt the yards per carry there for Josh Jacobs. Probably should be a little bit better. Probably would be closer to 5 yards per carry, to be honest with you, which is right on par with what we're looking for. So most receiving yards, Jamar Chase is leading the charge there at 1,056. Then you got Justin Jefferson of the Vikings right behind him at 939, averaging 15.4 yards per reception. That's better than Jamar Chase. That's second best in the league as far as yards per reception there for Justin Jefferson. Now, team offense, most offensive yards per game. The Packers are fifth in the league at 382.5 yards per game, right behind the San Francisco 49ers. The Eagles are in third. The Lions are in second. So the Lions are moving the rock in terms of yards per game at 394.3 yards per game. Baltimore Ravens, though, running away with it, 426.7 yards per game. Defensive, least yards allowed. Eagles, 274.6 per game. Titans, 276.4 per game. Then the Broncos, look at the Broncos defense still holding strong. And the Chiefs keeping that team, winning every single week, man, only allowing 300.8 total yards per game there. So that's a rundown of the entire league in that regard. Now, when we go to the playoff simulator here, I wanted to hit this real quick. I think it's important. Let's clear it all off. I think we already did. All right, so the games that we said we want to win, right? We want these teams to win. Let's go through and pick them and see the best case scenario. So we're going to go starting here in the backside. We're going to go Buffalo winning that game over the 49ers, right? And then we'll hop back to the front. So we want the Chargers to beat the Falcons. We want the Jets to beat the Seahawks. We said the Cardinals over the Vikings, right? So the Cardinals over the Vikings and the Titans over the Commanders. The Carolina Panthers over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Saints over the Rams, Baltimore over Philly, and we already picked Buffalo over San Francisco. Notice, guys, the seeding does not change. If everything goes our way, the way we want it this week, the seeding doesn't change at all. It's still Detroit 1, Philly 2, Arizona 3, Atlanta 4, Minnesota 5, Green Bay 6, Washington 7, right? So the seeding doesn't change at all if everything goes perfectly as planned. Now, let's go in the opposite direction and say worst case scenario. All right, worst case scenario, we're going to pick the Falcons to beat the Chargers, the Seahawks to beat the Jets. We're going to pick the Vikings to beat the Cardinals, the Commanders to beat the Titans. We will go Tampa Bay over Carolina, LA Rams over the Saints, Philly over Baltimore, San Fran over Buffalo. Check it out. The seeding still did not change. So you've created this buffer, Packers have, where you've won, went on this little tear here lately, and you put yourself in a position that everything could go wrong today. And your seeding doesn't change. The seeding doesn't change across the NFC. So everything kind of hangs patent. What'll probably happen, realistically, is we got what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games that we have rooting interest in. Probably roughly half of them, 4 of them will go our way. So we're sitting in a real good spot here, right? Now, the big thing is, like you guys pointed out in the chat, and appreciate y'all doing that. If we clear everything back off, we want the Cardinals to beat the Vikings. If that happens, now look at the standings. We would have the same record, right? Am I thinking right, guys? Here, let me look real quick. Let me pull this back up because sometimes this playoff simulator gets a little bit wonky. Of course, it doesn't. Yeah, it shows the records here. So Minnesota's at 9-2. The Packers are actually at 9-3. If Minnesota loses today, you've got the same record as the Packers. And then guess what happens? A little later in the year, when we play the Vikings again, you control your own destiny to have a 5 seed. Pretty cool. Pretty darn cool. So, again, let's root for those Cardinals. If the Cardinals upset the Vikings today, we're sitting pretty to put ourselves in the driver's seat to take that 5 seed. And, again, if we beat the Lions this coming Thursday, somehow, some way we can pull that win off. We go back to that graphic once again. That'll make the Lions 10-2, and that'll make us actually by that time they would be 11-2 if they win this week, right? Let me think here real quick. Who are they playing this week? Who are the Lions playing this week? Are they on a bye? They must be on a bye, huh? It usually shows on here. Where are the Lions at? Am I overlooking them? Oh, they already played. Duh. So they already won. Nothing could change there. That was Thanksgiving night. Man, it gets crazy with the schedule this time of year. So with the Lions coming up, they're already sitting at 11-1. If we beat them, they're going to be at 11-2, and we will be at what? 10-3, right? Or what would it be? Let me look here. Real quick. So we're at 9-3. Yeah, so we would be at 10-3, and that would drop them down to 10-2, right? Trying to figure out why there's a big discrepancy. There's something I'm missing. Help me out here in the chat, guys. There's something I'm missing. They definitely played. We know that. Yeah. Why would they? Yeah, 11-2. Okay, gotcha. So this was before the games were played. Thank you, Jen. That's right. This was before the games were played. So they're sitting at 11-1 actually right now, right? So yeah, they're at 11-1. If we beat them, they drop to 11-2. We go to 10-3. That shouldn't have been that hard. That should not have been that hard for this dumb redneck. All right. Now you would have how many games left in the season to try to make that up, and hopefully the Lions would slip up, right? After the Lions game, you're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4 more games, right? Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4 more attempts to surpass the Lions. It's possible, like Omer's saying, right? You can still win the North. And again, with all the injuries, and we're going to have the injury report later on this evening to hit on, with all those injuries, anything can happen, man. The Lions could slip up big time here. They could go, who knows, they could lose 2 out of the next 3, and then the Packers could find themselves in the driver's seat. But you got to take care of business, man. The remaining schedule for the Packers is at the Lions, at the Seahawks. We got the Saints at home on Monday Night Football. You know that's going to be a cold weather game. That's going to be a blast to watch right there. Then you're at the Vikings, and you got the Bears at home week 18. How cool would it be? Week 18, we're playing for, if we win the North, because maybe Detroit slips up in these next couple games. Imagine that. Packers, Bears, Lambeau Field, win, and you're the NFC North champions. That would be absolutely awesome. But you got to take care of business, man. And when you look at these remaining teams, the Lions are the best team in the league. I believe that personally. Now, when they're healthy, obviously they're banged up right now. Seattle, what's Seattle's record? We're at Seattle. They're 6-5. That's a winnable game. I think we would all agree, right? They're 6-5. Definitely doable. Let's see. The Saints at home. The Saints record, they are currently 4-7. I think we would all agree that's winnable, right? At the Vikings are currently, what is their record at the moment? The Vikings are 9-2. That's going to be a tough one on the road, but we play well up there. Remember last year, New Year's Eve, we went up there and absolutely boat raced them. So that could be the case again this year. And, of course, the Bears. Listen, the Bears, in my opinion, are not a bad football team. They're a bad football organization. I don't know if that makes sense or not. They've got a roster with good players. They just find a way to screw it up every single week, whether it's preparation or, it's during the game and managing the clock and this and that. It's just, man, they don't. And again, Matt Eberflus is gone. Have we heard who the interim coach is yet, guys? Can y'all help me out in the chat with that? Who are the Bears interim coach? I could probably Google it as quick as y'all put it in, but I like the fact that y'all are engaged like this. This is awesome. But them being 4-7, make no mistake about it, the Bears in that last week matchup against the Packers are going to be looking to play Super Bowl. That's going to be their Super Bowl. It is every year, let's be honest, right? They're going to go out and try to knock the Packers out of a better seeding. There's no doubt about that. So there's going to be high stakes last game of the year. You're going to have some of those guys on the Bears team that are last year their contract and they're trying to put something on tape before free agency hits, right? They're going to be very, very motivated. So it was Brown. All right, Anthony Brown, the OC. Appreciate you, J. Cole. Anthony Brown, the OC, has stepped in as interim coach. So that's going to be very, very interesting there. So we'll see how that shakes out. Let's see, Drew D said, which is funny because Brown started as like the passing game coordinator, then took over as interim offensive coordinator, then took over as interim head coach. That's wild. That might be one of those Antonio Pierce situations, right? Where the team gets kind of hot as an interim coach. And actually, was it Bisaccia? No, that's right. When Josh McDaniels got fired, right? Josh McDaniels got fired. Antonio Pierce stepped in as interim coach. They went on a little bit of a run. The players said, hey, we want him as the head coach. And now they're horrible again. So that does wear off after a little bit of time. Kind of hope that's what happens with the Bears. Maybe they go on a little bit of a run and they say, that's our head coach, rather than going out and getting a big name, Jim Harbaugh, somebody like that. That's just an excellent head coach. And then they end up sucking the next year. That would be cool for sure. Let's see here. Ton in the chat says the Packers are capable of winning out. However, they need to rise to the level of their competition. Otherwise, they will sink to the level of their preparation. Well, that's way too deep for me, man. I'm not intelligent enough to keep up with that. But, yeah, they listen, they're capable of winning out. I agree with you. They just got to continue to get better. That's the thing. Week in and week out, you got to continue to get better, man. Let's see here. What else we got in the chat? Drew D. Bisaccia with the Raiders did well. He did, right? And then they chose to go in a different direction. Didn't they decide on Josh McDaniels over Bisaccia? Am I thinking right? Or am I got the timeline mixed up? I think that was the case. I think it was Dennis Allen was the head coach, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong. He gets fired. Bisaccia took over. And then that offseason, they decided on Josh McDaniels over Bisaccia, right? And then, of course, Josh McDaniels gets canned after 1 year, I believe it was. And Antonio Pierce took over as interim coach. Then they end up hiring him, if I remember correctly. So, Omer in the chat, this is the key game. Got to win Thursday or best. We're looking at is a 5th or 6th seed. Win Thursday, North's in reach, and seed 1-2. Really what it feels like, Omer, is Thursday night. Thursday night is a playoff game. It's essentially what it is. You can improve your seeding, right? You got a chance to win the North on down the road if you beat the Lions on Thursday night. The Lions' backs are against the wall with the injuries, right? And they got the best record in the league, and teams are starting to catch on to them. Don't forget the Gibbs thing that happened, right? Jahmyr Gibbs, that whole debacle going on there. Was it Jameson Williams too on Sunday that got into it with the coach on the sideline because he hit Tyreek Stevenson in the face with the football? That was hilarious, by the way. I ain't gonna lie, I laughed. Tyreek Stevenson is on this epic negative run right now. Let me get a drink, man. My voice is going. My gosh. He's on this epic negative run. Tyreek Stevenson was the one engaging with the crowd, taunting the crowd in Washington, and then he ends up tipping the Hail Mary up and it gets caught, right? And then lo and behold, he did something a couple of weeks later that was just stupid and boneheaded. Then he's just standing on the sideline jawing with Jameson Williams. Jameson Williams smacks him in the mouth with a football on national television. It's just like, this dude is on an epic run. Yeah, there you go. Prince says Stevenson deserved it most likely. I'm telling you, man, if everywhere you go it smells like dog crap, it's probably on your boot, right? Here we go. Drew D, you were correct, except Gruden was who Bisaccia took over. Got it. That's right, because of the leaked text messages, right? That makes sense. Yeah, Dennis Allen must have been far before that. I know he was a Raiders coach, and then he left and went to New Orleans. I think they fired him. He went to New Orleans as the DC, and man, that defense took off. And then he ends up getting hired as the new head coach, interim coach, and they ended up keeping him as head coach, right, for a short time in New Orleans. So, yeah, you're right. That was definitely Gruden. Bisaccia took over. Then Bisaccia obviously goes on to Green Bay. So, there we go. All right. I agree with Coach. Pierce is not a good coach. Listen, good coaches have got to be the same person every day. And to me, Pierce comes across as he tries to act like a tough guy all the time. And that'll last for a while, but eventually that wears off. Coach John Madden, rest in peace, had the best saying, and I'm kind of paraphrasing, but he said, the last thing you want to be as a coach is a phony. If you're a phony, those players will see through it so quick. And once they see through it, you've lost the locker room. Just be yourself. You know, Nick Sirianni gets on everybody's damn nerves. Will we all agree? Nick Sirianni is that dude that just like, shut up and coach, man. Quit jawing with the fans and he's all quirky at the press conferences and it, right? Nick Sirianni's 100% authentic, though. There's nothing fake about that dude. He's just weird. He's quirky. Another one, Jim Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh says some of the quirkiest stuff that you go, what? This guy's weird. But Jim Harbaugh is unapologetically himself, right? There's no two ways about it. Antonio Pierce, to me, comes across like he's got the big diamond stud earrings on the sideline. He's trying to act like a player, trying to act like a tough guy. One of the big falling outs, many people don't know about this, but when he was with the Raiders, I think he was the DC under Josh McDaniels. Josh McDaniels hires him, right, on his staff. And they said they had a meeting, and he undermined Josh McDaniels in the meeting and basically talked trash about the Patriots organization with Josh McDaniels standing in the room, right? And Josh McDaniels and him had words about it, and then obviously Josh McDaniels ends up losing his job. Antonio Pierce gets promoted. That type of stuff right there, there's probably people in that room that liked him doing that to Josh McDaniels, but I guarantee you there was a handful of others that were like, boy, I don't trust that dude. He's willing to try to show up the head coach in front of everybody like that. Another example. I'm with you, though, Coach. I don't think he's a good coach. We might agree on that, but for different reasons, but I don't think he's a good coach. I don't, man. J. Cole, Raiders need a redo. They will get the first pick this year. It's just like the Chicago Bears. Now, I hope the Bears don't do this. I hope they don't do this. But if they were smart, reset everything and get a head of football operations that's a football guy. I'm not going to lie. I worry a little bit about Belichick going to Chicago. If they threw enough money at Belichick, right? And here's the thing. It's not just so much Belichick. The thing that makes Belichick so good is he knows what his strengths are, and he hires really well. You notice how all the coaches he's hired, they didn't go on to do great things. It's like they go, McDaniels is one, Charlie Weiss was another one, a lot of different, Romeo Crennel, all these assistants, Matt Patricia, they go on to other teams and they suck. But when they're with New England, they're good, right? Like they work together. He knows how to put coaches in place to have total success in that regard. If he were to get hired in Chicago, I could see him coming in, and I think the first move he would probably make is he would bring his son Stephen Belichick in. He'd bring Michael Lombardi in, former GM, and he wouldn't be the general manager. He would come in to help within the building like he has in the past. Josh McDaniels would be the OC. If Gerard Mayo gets fired, he'd probably bring him as DC, and he would put together this staff that's going to win you close ball games. He's going to put together a staff that on Thanksgiving Day, what happened there in that last 30 seconds, that would never happen on a Bill Belichick team. I promise you that. He's not perfect, but he's got all those rings for a reason, man. It's true. And Tom Brady's the first one to say it. Listen, I don't have that success without Bill. I don't. Notice he went to Tampa that already had a top 5 offense completely constructed and in place. And they said, Tom, do what you want on offense. They win a Super Bowl, but the very next year, they step back, and Tom's like, I'm done. I'm out. I've had enough, right? He could see the writing on the wall. They weren't going to win again in Tampa. I know everybody likes to look at that and go, see, it was Brady, not Belichick. That's BS, man. If you don't believe me, go back and watch the Rams Super Bowl when Brady couldn't hit a bull in the ass with a mop. And Belichick completely revamped his man coverage defense to a zone defense and shut down Matt LaFleur. I think it was Matt LaFleur's OC, and Sean McVay held him to like 3 points or whatever it was. Crazy. So, yeah, I hope he doesn't end up in Chicago. But you're right. Raiders with a redo, completely agree. They need, just like Chicago, they need a football guy to come in. You need a guy who's going to run the football operations like a football team. Because they always, it's like what Belichick always says about Woody Johnson in New York with the Jets. It's not ready, aim, fire. It's ready, fire, aim, right? It's like they're just scattered. They don't understand there's a process. And I'm telling you, with that process, it's head coach and quarterback. Those are the 2 most important aspects, right? Head coach and if I was to be the head of football operations at an organization, the first thing I would do is I don't care what the roster looks like. I don't care what the organization looks like. Scrap it all, and I'm going to go find the greatest football mind to be the head coach, and we're going to go get the best possible quarterback we can get, period. I don't care if we have to trade 3 years of draft picks to get a quarterback that's a top 10 quarterback, but we're going to have a top 10 quarterback. Now, we might be in a position that we can draft one. They may look at Caleb Williams and say he is a top 10 quarterback legit, right? If that's the case, then, all right, your quarterback's already in place. You got your head coach. Now what you do with your roster building, first of all, you got to surround yourself with just rock-solid people as assistant coaches and organizational people, right? And I would bring in Michael Lombardi because him and Belichick work close together, right? I'd probably go drag Scott Pioli's ass out of NFL Network and go, Bub, we need you back over here. Let's do what we did in New England type thing. Whether he goes to the Raiders or wherever Belichick ends up. Might be the Giants. I kind of think the Giants make the most sense for Belichick personally. But head coach, quarterback, and then you focus on left tackle, 3 tech, edge defender, right? Those are your top 4 positions. Quarterback, left tackle, edge defender, 3 tech. And then you move on to tier 2. Let's make sure we got an all-pro center. Let's go get an all-pro mock backer and an all-pro post safety. That's where you spend the bulk of your money. You overpay out the ass for all of that right there. And now the nucleus of your team is in place. And then you build outside of there. Notice what Chicago did. Let's go get 2 shiny new receivers. Bro, you guys can't block your way out of a wet paper bag, and you're going and getting receivers? What are we doing here? So, if all that makes sense. That's just kind of how I look at it. Man, Tracy came in hot. I don't know if that's a he or a she. Oh, it's 2024. I might have messed up there. I don't know who Tracy is, but J Love is pure trash. Freaking turnover machine. Look at that. Wow. That's very interesting. Is that a Packer fan, you think? Tracy, you a Packer fan? We shouldn't even engage with this, but I'm feeling a little spicy here. Let's do it. Tracy, let us know in the chat. Are you a Packer fan? Yes or no? Awkward silence. Kind of funny listening to the sound. People on the pod are like, I'm changing it. I'm skipping ahead right now, Clayton. I can't take it. I don't blame you. I don't blame you one bit. The show sucks. You guys know that. Trying to see what Tracy says here. Tracy is a bot, is what Robbo said. There you go. All right. Robbo has spoken. We got it. All right. Listen, here's what's crazy is the reality with Jordan Love is He's what, 6th or 7th in touchdown passes. He has 11 interception. Yep. If he everybody's now bashing Tracy. Sorry, Tracy, we had to do it. It's just the way it is. Fred McFarley, Tracy eats pizza with a fork. There you go. That's all you need to know. If Jordan goes on the run, it looks like he's starting that run like he did last second half of last season. Look out. Don't be surprised if you look up at the end of the year and he's top 3 in touchdown passes and his passer rating is over 100, right? It's coming, I'm telling you. Seems like it. So, all right, Tracy has not spoken again. So that's it, guys. We're going to wrap up. Went over a little long, but I'm glad we did this, man. We covered a lot. We hit on TJ Slayton. Guys, let me know in the comments if you guys are watching this later and you're not in the live comments. Comment what you think. Let us know what you think about TJ Slayton. I'm interested to see if the fan base agrees with me or they just think, that pressure percentage ain't nothing. Because it seems like he's one of the best pass rushers from the interior on our roster right now. So let us know what you think there. With that being said, we're going to get out. We'll be back tonight for PTA Live, 7 p.m. Central. What we're going to do is go around the league and give you guys all the updated standings, what may or may not have changed there. Hopefully the Vikings get a loss, as we uncovered here. That's who we're rooting for, is the Cardinals, right? And we'll give you all that information. We'll also give you the first injury report for Packers Lions, and we're going to keep a close eye on that as we move forward through the week. We might even go ahead and start getting into some of the PFF preview as well. So appreciate everybody hanging out with us. It was an absolute blast. The chat was lit up. You guys are awesome. You make the show what it is, and we can't thank you enough. So with that being said, for those of you listening on the pod, thank you for making us a part of your day. As always, let's go out and be the change we want to see in the world. And go Pack, go.
Thanks for watching Packers Total Access Live, your daily source for Green Bay Packers content. Created for the fans by the fans. Hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you know whenever we go live. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Packers_access. Go Pack, go. Have a great day.